Let's look at the health and the trend of the stock market. There's a lot of news and volatility at this moment. Let's make it a whole lot more clear so you can stay on the right side of the trend and grow and protect your wealth. Again, I'm Scott Bennett with Invest with Rules. This is not financial advice, just what we're looking at and how we work through this question is how do you think about the market? At Invest with Rules, here's the trend roadmap. We codify the stock indexes in just a second, but you have a green where you have a short term and a long term uptrend. It's the most healthiest time of the market. A yellow or a stage three topping phase where the short term is down, the long term is still up. A stage four where both the short and the long term are down. The goal is to try to avoid this time period. And typically after a bear market type event, you get these U-turn signals, short term up within a long-term trend is still down. So the goal is to deploy as much capital in this environment as possible. Why am I covering that? Let's look at some charts. The first chart, let's look at the S&P 500. What you see here, short-term trend is down and the long-term trend is still up. We call that a coast signal. It's in yellow. If you go all the way back to after the tariff time, you got your U-turn on April 24th, a short glimmer of a gas signal or green, and then you're off to the races. We formed this kind of massive topping pattern. And I would say at the moment, a weaker area of the market is the S&P 500. So short term is down, long term is up. We'll call this a coast signal. The black line is the 200-day simple moving average. You touched it today and then fell back. The green line is the 21-day exponential. The red line is the 50-day simple. We use these as just markers because a lot of traders look at them. If you want the trend of the S&P 500 every single day, you can just go to investwithrules.com and you can see how we have this trend roadmap ticker tool. Just sign up for free. It's all yours. We'd love to keep you on the right side of the trend. So S&P 500 under pressure on a coast signal. Let's move to the tech stocks, the NASDAQ 100. That as well is on a coast signal. Short-term down, a long-term trend is still up. You're underneath the 200-day simple moving average. We've had a big 10% pullback, and now you're rallying within that short-term the trend is still down within the long-term trend is up. So you're making your way back to the 200-day simple, similar to the S&P 500. You have a double top, you pull back. So this is another index that's under pressure. I'll move to small caps. This looks a whole lot stronger than the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. So if we go all the way back to the top of this base structure from 2024, we came all the way down and touched it. You're on a gas signal on small caps, relatively acting stronger than the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. So short-term and long-term are back in uptrends. That's really positive. And finally, let's move to all world minus US, also on a gas signal. So short-term and long-term trends are back positive. It's on a green gas signal. This looks really constructive. You're at the kind of the bottom to the right-hand side of a base if that does keep working its way up higher. So S&P 500 coast, NASDAQ coast, small caps gas signal, and international gas signal. So if you go to Invest with Rules, this is for members of Invest with Rules membership. You log into investwithrules.com and we'll go down to market health. So the health of the market right now out of 10 is a 6. So lo and behold, this is our personal exposure, which fits us and our strategy. Please manage your own personal holdings. Not sure why that happened, but that's a 60. So we're right in line with our score. We're always within a range of that. Our beta, a beta of 1 equals the stock market or the S&P. We're a 0.6. So we're watching that closely. And our portfolio heat, where if absolutely everything hit its trailing stops, we're having a really strong year, but that would be a minus 2.8% pullback. I know that's something where I know a lot of investors do not know that number. So knowing what your true risk is to your stops is very important. That's our estimate. So I wanted to share that with you today. Again, the small caps are here. The international stocks are in this gas signal stage 2 advancing phase. and the S&P and the NASDAQ are right here. So this topping or coast phase. So please manage your risk. I hope this was helpful to stay on the right side of the trend. I hope this helped you identify some uptrends or things coming to uptrends, but please always do your due diligence, manage your risk tolerance. This is not a direct solicitation, just things for your watch list. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you at investwithrules.com.